Evening. Happy holidays. We've made it to December. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about triggers. It's the holiday season, so a lot of us can get triggered at this time. Kind of want to jump into it tonight. And so a little bit of an overview is I'm going to be explaining to you a map on how to better understand where your triggers are coming from. Okay? We're going to talk about triggers, and I'm also going to be doing a little relieving of it, right? Helping you connect deeper with yourself. So when it comes to triggers, it's something that happens to us, okay? And then it sets off a chain of reactions. So I want to validate that first, that it's something that comes at you and makes you react in a certain way. Now I want to read to you the definition of a trigger. Okay. Type it in. A trigger is a small device that releases a spring or catch and so sets off a mechanism, especially in order to fire a gun. So for the visualization, triggers happen and they shoot off a gun. And so when we get triggered, we tend to lose our power. But I'm going to give a little power back because you have the gun, right? So if we can better understand what is igniting the gun to shoot off, for the trigger to pull back, maybe we can connect a little deeper into our power, working through it, loving ourselves a little deeper. So I'm going to pull up a map for you. See how we do this. I'm going to share my screen. Here's my screen. See if I can do this. Play slideshow. Here are our triggers. Okay. So notice there are 5 different locations on where triggers can come from. Okay. And as we start to dive in a little deeper to triggers, we can also understand that triggers have no concept of time. Can be triggered from the past, the present moment, thoughts about the future. And they can come from a lot of different angles, okay? And a lot of them kind of combine together even. So I'm just going to go through the points of the triggers. And as I do this, I invite you to see what resonates with you. Hi, Stacy. And I'm on Instagram over here, going live. We're talking about triggers tonight. We're just about to go through a map of them. So we have 5 different triggers, 5 triggers. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can see the diagram that I'm working with right now. And the first one, cat out of the bag, are circumstances. So even just begin to scan yourself and think about what circumstances may trigger you during the holiday season. And so we're going to speak a little on high level here because we can really go down the rabbit hole with any of these triggers. And so for circumstances that may trigger you, normally it's a circumstance that makes something that you want a little harder to get, right? Circumstance can be your location. For me to be with my family on Christmas, I have to fly, right? Or given the circumstances of my shift in relationship, I have to manage time with my children. I may have to manage time with my parents. Given the circumstances of when I am purchasing this gift, I have to pay extra for shipping. And then notice how you get triggered. And notice circumstances in the present moment are a little different than circumstances in the past moment, right? So circumstances in the present moment may trigger you to get stressed out. It's a big one. And circumstances of the past may bring up a lot of feelings, a lot of hard times. That may, again, something a little harder to attain, a little harder to have your happiness. So just take a breath and notice if circumstances have come up for you. It's a good trigger. Now, the second of the 5 triggers is places. Okay. So coming in to, you have your gun, you have your power, right? And the trigger set off your gun to shoot, right? Get reactive. So thinking of places that might set you off, right? It can be an old home, an apartment you used to live in, a place going home to your family's house, right? They may trigger childhood memories, right? They may make you feel unworthy, big one, frustrated, whatever the emotion is, noticing that places can trigger you. And following by places, we have people. How are you triggered by people? And I like to add in too that one person can trigger you to think of some other person. So thinking about people that may trigger you at this time, and just breathing into your heart center, knowing that you're just learning a map, learning some tools to better understand where this ignition is coming from. It may make you want to pull back and shoot the gun. How are you triggered by people? And you may even notice as I speak about this, you may be getting triggered. And just use your breath to work through it. If you stay to the end of this live session, I'm going to do a little bit of energy healing with some color and some sacred geometry. So just keep breathing. You can feel your feet on the ground as we just explore and find the map on where we can get triggered. And next up, the 4th of the 5th triggers is energy. What are the vibes in the room? What are the vibes coming off of somebody else? And how does that instill a reaction in you, right? What stories might it bring up? What sensations, frustration, sensitivity, sadness come up by the energy in the room? By the energy of the room, by the energy of people, places, circumstances, as we start to dive deeper into seeing that our triggers trigger each other, right? So as a recap, we have our circumstances that can trigger us, places that can trigger us, people and energy. And also we go beyond time and space here. We can be triggered from something from the past, present, or the future, which actually is a good way to come into the 5th trigger of objects and substances. You see an old picture and bam, you're back 20 years ago thinking about how your business failed during that time. Perhaps you went through a really hard breakup. Or maybe substances, you smell that eggnog and you say, oh, but this holiday season, I am sick and I can't drink it. And all I want to drink is eggnog. And then you start to perhaps spiral out, right? Just by the scent, a substance, a perfume, a food, seeing a picture, seeing an object, a painting, a memorabilia, whatever it is, coming into recognizing the sensitivity you may be feeling at this time and through the holiday season. Okay. So triggers. And tonight we're really talking about external triggers. Again, we go beyond time and space here. We can have internal triggers as well. But tonight, external triggers. So now If some came up for you, great, that's the point. And I invite you to just scan yourself right now, right? Seeing what trigger raised its hand, said, "Ooh, me. That drives me bananas." Is it a circumstance, a place, people, energy, object, or substance? And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to work a little bit with the area of our throat, the energy of our throat. Because when we get triggered, we tend to cut ourselves off, cut off our expression. Normally, we can't articulate our feelings or our thoughts or a conflict that we're having at that time because we're too overwhelmed, right? By what we're feeling, and we're not understanding what's coming to us and why all of a sudden I'm ready to shoot my gun off. I've already shot my gun off. So we're going to first work with the sacred geometry of expansion. I'm going to hold it up to the screen here. I'm going to show it over here on Instagram. So it's an expansion. And when we work with sacred geometry, right, a way to think about it is, one, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So we are energy. And sacred geometry gives structure to it, right? It comes back to mathematics, geometry. And that oftentimes when we're stuck, we get triggered, it's because our sacred geometry, our sacred form has become a little frozen. So we're going to use expansion tonight to just open up your expression, open up the release of the trauma, okay? I know I already mentioned tension, but I'm going to say it again, the release of the trauma and the tension so that you can break through and connect in with your oneness, your wholeness, which we'll get to after this. So let's all connect in, okay? I'm going to just close, I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you all on Facebook and Zoom so that we can really get into this together. So find your breath, okay? Been doing some talking. I'm sure I've been igniting some triggers. And see what's coming up for you. Notice if it's a little hard to breathe, maybe. And I invite you to welcome that trigger and the stories that come with it, the sensations that come with it. Bring it to the surface, almost like you're putting yourself in a room and you're hanging pictures, different objects, to bring that situation to life, okay? You can keep your eyes open or you can close them. I'm first going to come over to Instagram. I'm just going to shine in this beautiful sky blue with expansion light. And then close your eyes, okay? Or you can look right at it and bring that right into the throat. Inhaling into the throat. And then exhaling out the tension, okay? Notice how it's a deep blue as you let it come into the throat, and then close your eyes and expand your tension, your trauma out into the sky. Then welcome from the back, coming through the front. So I'm bringing this light now into the throat, right? And again, if triggers move beyond time and space, we are too. And just welcome in this sky blue into the throat as the expansion of sacred geometry begins to expand within the throat chakra. As you close your eyes and invite the trauma that has been triggered into you to stretch out into the sky. I'm just going to move this light in a swirling motion, just letting the geometry and the blue light penetrate through the screen as if I'm in the room with you. Welcome me in, relax and allow. So the sensations of color connect into your etheric field, dissolving blocks. and the sacred geometry to connect in with the frozen cellular memories in the body and expand and release. Really nice job. You're right back in, swirling, welcoming in to the room with you. Really nice release. There you go. And even welcome your breath into the back of the neck. And expand. And then now what I'm going to do is to connect in with the throat with the sacred geometry of Om. Whoop, of Om. Right? It's more of an imprint than a sound. Universal oneness. And what it really is doing too is it's bridging you to feel whole, right? In existence, harmonizing, connection. Coming the space inwardly to the oneness. So noticing the space in your throat, stretched out like the sky. And we're going to come in and welcome in universal sky coming into that oneness with the Om symbol. Being guided into your heart center again as you connect into yourself as a divine being, centered and whole, as you welcome in your sensitivity, welcoming in the sensitivity during these times especially. Letting the color of universal sky expand your mind to become more of your universal mind. And welcoming the imprint of Om to connect into your wholeness. Reflecting back to you that you are one. Just like even the moon tonight. The full moon tonight, she again reflects back to us our light of oneness and of being whole. Now I welcome you. Just take a couple breaths, breathing in to the feet, anchoring in. And notice if that trigger is still with you. It's even hard to get, right? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Poof, we've transmuted it in this session. So thank you for being a part of this live healing session this evening where we covered our triggers. Okay. And so I will share this diagram, the 5 triggers, on the Facebook page of Infinity Healing Works, so you can find it there. Be well during these holiday times, and I will see you on Instagram on the new year. And for Facebook and YouTube, I'll be here with Miss Jamie Ricketts next week, baby. We are just banging it out. And I'm just going to look up to see what we're talking about, because I really wanted this month to be about the theme of the sensitivity that comes up during the holidays. It is a stressful time. While of course it's comforting and there's lots of love and joy, we're also unpacking the year. And oftentimes in the holiday season of December, a lot of stress can come into our lives. A lot of stress in that for entrepreneurs or people in sales, you're trying to make your goals, right? And that for the holidays, if there's been a shift in relationship, it can just bring up a lot. And you have every right to feel everything you're feeling. And the more we can understand what's making us feel or think a certain way, the quicker we can shut it down and come back into that universal oneness, that love for ourselves, that we're just human and that we feel a lot. So next week, we are doing no drama, mama. Again, we're going to be working with how we get reactive. And tonight we kind of worked with the mind, learning to map. And then next week, we're going to do some Eden energy medicine, learn some different tools to use. And yeah, how to protect yourself too from other vibes that you aren't really into. And also really how to master your own energy. So good night, be well, and I'll see you all next week.